So I want to make a video on sitting position with the guitar, looking at the basics and not so basics, and just giving you, the viewer, a few problem-solving tools, essentially. The thing with the sitting position is that you can play any way you like. There's great guitarists who play great music. You can sit down and hunch over, or you could kind of lean back or lie in a bed or play it behind your head or whatever, and you can play great music. It's fine. So it's not like you have to have the right sitting position to play guitar. The things where I think it helps are mainly two things. One, the health of your body, and to prevent you from cramping up and feeling really uncomfortable and developing problems in your hands or your back, which is unfortunately a lot more common than you might think. And two, the second reason why sitting position matters is it can help as a problem-solving tool when something you're trying to play is hard and it's not going the way you want it to. A chord, you can't get all the notes of a chord to ring out. You can't get your pinky in a certain position in time. That kind of thing. Now, at this point, I've been teaching guitar for almost 20 years. I've had a lot of experience working with people on how to sit with the guitar, beginners and advanced players, children, adults, and I definitely don't think there's one right way to sit with the guitar, because everybody's different. Everybody's playing a different style of music with a different size guitar, and people are of different sizes and different flexibilities. So the principles here are this: that the normal position is okay, but it's hard to do certain things without making some unfortunate compromises. So if I'm not using my pinky and I'm not barring, then I'm okay. But if I have to bar, like if I have to play this F chord here, right, sitting like this, I either have to hunch over to get under the guitar, or hunch under, I could say, hunch my back to get under the guitar, and go like that, which doesn't feel that comfortable, doesn't seem like a great long-term strategy. Or I have to bend my wrist a lot. And if you're new to barring, or if you remember when you were new to barring is really tough in the beginning, and bending your wrist is going to cramp you up quite a lot right there and make barring a lot less comfortable, a lot more uncomfortable. So those solutions aren't ideal, either hunching over or bending the wrist a lot. And the same thing goes true, same thing holds true if we're trying to make a reach with, it's just something, something requires some sort of stretch. You either have to kind of get under, or you have to bend your wrist, or feel like you're pulling your fingers apart. So I think ideally, the best sitting position, and this is really idealistic because it's very hard to find, this is when you can sit totally square, not leaning to either side, not hunching over or anything, not like super rigid, and just with your left hand, just reach up, there's the guitar neck, just like that. Not have to go out like that, not have to have it in all the way there, not have to do anything really awkward and uncomfortable like that. Just, oh, there it is, I can play guitar. That's ideal. So with normal shaped guitars, I feel like there's a few ways we can get closer to that that all have some pros and cons, and I'm just going to try to briefly run through a few of them. The simplest thing to start is to cross your right leg over your left. So if I do that, I've angled the neck up, I can sit relatively upright, and if I go to that bar chord, I don't have to hunch over or bend my wrist as much. If I want to make a reach, I've got it there. I could even kind of pivot the guitar a little bit and get it be angled up. I can lean with my hips a little bit, and then get under there and make those reaches a little more easily. And all I have to do is just cross the right leg over the left, have the guitar on the right leg. So that's not perfect, but it definitely makes things a lot easier for the left hand. Disadvantage, a lot of people are really not comfortable crossing their legs. It just doesn't feel good. They cramp up, their hips are tight. Whatever the reason, it doesn't work for a lot of people. So you can experiment with it. The other, kind of second most obvious solution here is to use a footstool. This is an adjustable guitar footstool. They're like $10. You can get them on Amazon or any guitar store. And this is basically the classical way, at least historically, although that's changing a little bit too. You put the guitar on the left leg and the left foot on the footstool. That's pretty good. You gotta make a few adjustments, but here I can bar very easily. I can do reaches very easily, make big stretches if I need to, so you get a better reach compared to the other position. You can reach further, and that's really important, especially for beginners trying to get those chords together, because it can seem like, oh my God, I can't stretch my fingers apart that much. But having the neck angled up can help quite a lot. So this is pretty great, it's been very, very popular. The disadvantage here is that, as you can see, my hips are really twisted, and I have to even turn a little bit to one side. So while it's great for my hands, long term it can be problematic for the back. And I've heard of classical guitarists often having back problems from spending so much time like that in this awkward position, even though it's a lot easier on your wrists and hands. An interesting middle point or other solution is to put the right foot on the footstool, and then you don't get as much of an extreme angle, but you still can get under there and get a much better reach than the conventional flat-footed position. And you're not turning your hips so much. It's not as tough on your back. So a lot of my students wind up, especially my kid students, I wind up recommending this because it's not a huge adjustment. You just hold the guitar in the way it feels natural, and you put your right foot up, and then you can get under there better. But you do have to make sure it tilts up and isn't like that. That's especially more a problem for the little kids, and they're always just kind of flopping around like a liquid or something. But you have to make sure the guitar does stay up, and you gotta make sure you don't get under it and hunch under and get real low to get those bar chords, because you can do it right there. And I can make those reaches, and I can turn a little bit, but I don't have to hunch. I'm still not really hunching, I'm just sort of turning at this weird angle. But anyway, so left foot, footstool, right foot, footstool, legs crossed. The other thing you can do is you could use a strap, and you do something, first of all, you can just have the strap up, holding the guitar up a little higher, and that works okay. You can, if you gotta make sure that neck is angled up again, not just like having it higher like that, although that's still better than the normal position. One thing I like that I think I saw Julian Lage doing, and I've seen some people who play big guitars, like big arch tops do, is that you create this little, what you do is you have space here between, let's say, your waist and the guitar. The guitar isn't like up against my stomach. I've got the guitar on my right leg and on my rib or my chest. And then I have I have the ability to make a lot of nuanced angles happen. I can kind of turn it up like that, I can back up, I can lean forward and get different things happening. And again, I have all that space. I can make those good reaches here. Now personally, I find it uncomfortable, kind of painful to have something pulling on my neck for a while, so that's a disadvantage. Another really practical disadvantage of this position is if you have breasts, just to be blunt, this position does dig right into your right breast, so that can be very uncomfortable. And there might be ways around that obviously I wouldn't be that intimately familiar with. So that's a pretty good option, and also another advantage of this is that you can just leave the strap on the guitar, and just every time you pick it up, just throw the guitar on, and boom, there you go. Not a lot of setup for that one. The least conventional thing that I actually like the best is there are these various types of guitar supports. This one's called the Neck Up. I think the website's just neckup.com. This is called the Neck Up Mini. It's good for smaller guitars and solid body electric guitars. And this props the guitar in place while you can have your feet totally flat. not using a footstool, not crossing your legs, no strap pulling on your neck. So yeah, that's actually a little high. It's adjustable. I've kind of rigged mine up a little bit to be a little more sturdy, but let's see, even that, you know, I can even go, I mean, that works for me. I like playing it really high sometimes, but if that's like, seems really silly to you, I can go a little bit more subtle, yeah. So I know this isn't the way that you usually see somebody holding a guitar, but when I'm here, I satisfy all those things I talked about earlier. I got my back upright. I don't have to hunch over or lean to either side. And I can just go like that, and there's the guitar, right about, you know, let's say chest or neck level. And I can do those bar chords very easily. I can do, I can reach, do the reaches with my left hand very easily. One quick note about the reaches, I know I keep coming back to that, and you might be thinking, well, I'm just not going to play that. I don't need to play like some crazy stretchy chord like that. But when you're a beginner, every chord's kind of a stretchy chord. You haven't built up the flexibility yet, so any help you can get making the reach is, well, going to help. You know, I've seen this because I've been working with beginner students for a very long time, and it's hard to make any sort of stretch in the beginning. It's hard to, excuse me, you know, just get notes ringing out clear in basic chords. So this is a potential option. I like this a lot. If I'm performing or recording, and I don't care about looking super cool, which I generally don't, then this is my favorite option. Disadvantages of this: one, the guitar's not super stable. I don't feel super comfortable, like if I was playing really, really heavy, aggressive music, you know, that where I was using a lot of force, the guitar moves around a little bit more than I'd like, but I play music that's generally very light, personally. I haven't really tested that out, playing like really aggressive stuff with this on there. Yeah, so it's a little unstable. The other disadvantage is you got to keep it on there and sort of set it up and make a little adjustment every time you want to pick up the guitar. That can be a little annoying. You know, rather than just when you have an ergonomic guitar like a Klein or a Steinbrenner or Steinberger, I forget what they're called, then you just pick up the guitar and it's automatically in this position because that's how the body's shaped. So I think that about covers it. We've got the footstool, the leg crossing, well, footstool can go on either foot, the strap, and the neck up. There's also various guitar support cushions for acoustic guitars that achieve a similar thing. And what I encourage you as a viewer to do is to experiment with these different options. You know, you might even just, I mean, I use a mix of them depending on what I'm playing and how lazy I might be at the moment. I might just want to cross my legs and have that be it. And sometimes a combination works as well. You might want to have the strap and a light footstool raise, or one of these and you know, the footstool up a little bit. You know, you can play around and find things that work, but the main thing is if you're playing a chord and you're like, man, I can't make that reach, and you haven't considered all this stuff already, then you know, you might want to play around with the guitar position. Or if you're struggling with bar chords, then you really might want to play around with the guitar position. And I guess the last thing to say is that when you experiment with this stuff a lot and you learn some of these problem-solving strategies, you find subtle ways to do things correctly, even if you happen to be holding the guitar in a more casual way. Because I'm very used to, say, like, if the guitar is up here and I have to go like that with my pinky, I know what I need to do if I am like this it's a little awkward, but like to lean forward with my hip and not hunch in with my back, you know? And then I can get that if I really wanted to. If for some reason I really didn't feel like putting on the neck up. And that's it. I hope that is helpful.